Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Almost the end of another week. So hope your week has been good. Today I want to talk about self-doubt. And maybe you're feeling some of that right now. Maybe you've decided to start a new project and you're feeling a little bit doubtful about it. But I can pretty much guarantee that everyone at some point has experienced self-doubt. It's just kind of one of those human things that we feel. So I thought I'd talk about it a little bit and give you some ways to kind of deal with it. So self-doubt. So it's a pretty common thing, especially when you set out to start something new, especially if it's something that's really important to you, because you're going to kind of worry about whether or not you can actually do it. And that's where the self-doubt comes in. So what are some causes of self-doubt? Let's look at some of that and what you can do to prevent that, to get over that. So one thing that can cause some self-doubt is past experience. So quite often people let their past experience or past failures keep them stuck. So don't look at past failures as a bad thing. Look at them as learning experiences. So failing is actually a really great learning tool. It tells you what not to do. And when you know what not to do, you're going to waste a lot less time when you try to do it again. So if you failed in the past, guaranteed that you were smarter for it today. So don't let those past failures stop you. Let them be stepping stones to help you get to where you want to go. So what to do about it? Think about your past failure and write down what you learned from that. So what did you learn from that failure? Don't write down the bad stuff. Just think about the lesson that was learned and write it down. And then use that information to help you take a different approach to achieving your next goal. And once you've figured out that once you figured out that lesson that you learned from that failure, let any negative feelings you have about that failure just go. Let them go and just take the lesson from it. And don't worry about the actual failing part. Just take the lesson. And now you can focus on what you need to do and, more importantly, what you need to avoid in order to be successful. So another thing that causes us self-doubt is lacking all the skills to do something. So when you try to do something new, there's a very good chance that you don't have all the needed skills. And it can be tempting to run from that challenge because you don't have all the necessary skills, but don't run from it. When I opened my business, do you really think I had all the necessary skills to open a business? No. In fact, I had very few of the skills needed to open a business, but I was like, screw it, I'm doing it anyways. And I learned lessons along the way. I had failures, I had successes. When I got really stuck and I knew that I couldn't do something, absolutely could not do something. For instance, when my accountant told me that I cannot do my books because I'm not a numbers girl, I hired somebody to do it for me. You know, you pick the things that you know that you suck at and you absolutely can't do, and you get some help from somebody. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of your success, is enlisting people that can help you achieve your success. So, you know, just accept the fact you're not going to know everything about everything. If you really want something, if you really want to work towards your goal, don't start thinking about every single little thing that's going to have to be done, because there's going to be a ton of things where you're like, I don't know how to do that. That's okay. Just jump in with the things that you know how to do. And when you come up to those things that you can't do, you either learn the new skill. You can learn anything, you guys. Google it. Find it on YouTube. You can learn any skill you want to learn and do it yourself if you want to. In my case, I did not want to learn the skill of bookkeeping. I hate that kind of stuff, and I knew if I was going to try and make myself do it, it wasn't going to work out well because I hate it so much. So I decided not to learn it, and I hired someone. So that's the other option, is to get someone to help you out with that. So yeah, don't let lacking of all skills stop you. Otherwise, you won't try anything, because like I said, you can't know everything about everything. Another thing that causes self-doubt is someone else's voice in your head. So maybe you've told somebody about this great goal that you have, and they just like crap all over it for whatever reason. I mean, they might really be doing it from their heart. They might be meaning well and that they want to protect you from getting hurt, or they might just be projecting their own personal self-doubt onto you. So they might hear you wanting to achieve this goal, and that might kind of set alarms off in their own head for whatever reason, where they're thinking, okay, you're gonna be, you know, succeeding at this new thing, and maybe that threatens them on some level for whatever reason. I mean, people are very complicated, so they might say things to kind of bring you down and, you know, point out all the hardships that are going to come along and really get you doubting yourself. So what to do about that? First of all, keep in mind that when somebody projects something like that onto you, something negative onto you, it has more to do with them than it does with you. It probably actually has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's all what's going on with them. So you can listen to what your naysayers have to say, but don't let it change your path. Listen to what they say. See if there's something in there that can help you. Maybe some of their doubts will make you start thinking of other things that you're going to need to do to achieve your goal, which is great because it gets you thinking about more stuff, gets you thinking out of the box sort of thing. But don't let it stop you. Just take what's useful and ignore the rest. And if the person is coming from a really kind of low spot in themselves, they're going to be spewing out a bit of negativity that you don't need. So just block that out, take it for what it is, consider who it's coming from, and get on your path, get going. Don't let somebody else's own self-doubts be projected onto you and keep and hold you down. So you're going to come along obstacles with anything you try to do, and if you want something bad enough, you're going to figure out how to get around those obstacles. Even the ones, if you start thinking about certain obstacles that might pop up and you're thinking, oh, there's no way I could get over that. Yeah, you can, because when you come up to that obstacle, if you want what you want bad enough, you figure it out, and you'll be surprised at what you can figure out. Number 4, another one that causes a lot of self-doubt is your voice in your head. And this is a tough one to overcome because it's your voice in your head. It's hard to ignore it because it's there and it's always there. You can't just shut it off. Some people can. Some people have a great talent to be able to kind of shut their minds off. But for most of us, that voice, it's really hard to shut that voice off. Hey, Robin, how's it going? Hi, Angel. So what do you do? What do you do about that negative self-talk that you're hearing in your head, that voice that's telling you, oh, you can't do it, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, and all that stuff that comes from that voice? Catch yourself when you start thinking negatively and just say, stop. I mean, say it out loud if you want to, just make sure there's not people around because they'll think that you're crazy, but just stop yourself. Make that thought stop, okay? So, and keep in mind, everyone has self-doubts. Everyone has that little negative voice in their head telling them they can't do it. People who have achieved the greatest success, they've had to deal with that voice, but they dealt with it. That's the difference. They dealt with it and they moved towards their goal. So when you hear it, shut it down and focus on one single thing that you can do right now in this instant to get you a little bit closer to your goal. Doesn't matter how small it is. It might even just be writing down a to-do list, just something that takes you one step closer to your goal, something that's positive. And no matter how small it is, it's going to shut that voice up instantly because you just made some progress. Even though your little voice in your head is telling you you can't do something, you just made a little step closer to what you want. So you shut that voice up, you experience some positivity, and you move on and you just do your best to shut that voice off. But watch out, because that voice will always come back and it seems to come back even louder the closer you get to your goal. It's almost like that little voice is panicking and it wants you to stop before you actually get success. So just shut it off, do something positive to get you closer to what you want, and keep moving forward. And after a while, you'll kind of get used to doing that. And when the voice starts to come up, it won't have as big of an effect on you. My little voice in my head tells me quite often, like, oh, this is stupid. You're trying to run a business. You're not going to be successful. And in the beginning, it really shook me. Now it's just like, oh, it's just a normal thing that's going to happen. No big deal. I'm just going to keep moving on my path and looking at the things that are positive and keep moving forward. And then the last one that I was going to talk about is your fear of not being able to follow through. So when it comes to lofty goals, it's normal for you to wonder if you're actually going to be able to stick to it for the long haul. So, you realize it's going to be a lot of work and you start doubting your ability to stay focused and stay on it to actually achieve the goal. So what do? you trust yourself. Make sure that your goal is truly important. If your goal isn't very important to you, then yeah, there's a really good chance you're not going to follow through because it's not important to you. So make sure that your goal is really super important to you. Quit overthinking it. Overthinking is just going to screw you up. Just quit overthinking it and just jump in. Jump in. That's what I did. I jumped in. It's going to be a lot of work. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, and you're going to have to be able to stick to it and follow through with it. But if your goal is important enough to you, you're just going to stick to it. You'll be amazed at the amount of work and the things that you are willing to do and the things that you are able to do to get you to your goal. Like you'll just be amazed. When I look back at everything I've done to get to the point where I'm at now with my studio, I'm just like, holy crap, how did I even get through that? You just do. If it's important enough to you, you'll get through it. So don't worry that you're not going to follow through. Just make sure the goal is important to you, and you will follow through, I promise. So let's put an end to that self-doubt, and I mean, something that gives me comfort when I'm really doubting myself is reminding myself that everyone feels it. Everyone feels self-doubt every now and then. It's just a normal thing. It's sort of almost like a protective mechanism to help keep you in that kind of safe place where you don't get hurt, but it can also really hold you back and keep you stuck in a really mediocre life where you're always wondering, what if? And you don't want that. Who wants that, right? You want to go for the things that you want and just trust in yourself that you can do it. You will do it. And like I said, you're going to be amazed at the things that you're going to actually accomplish and do, the obstacles you're going to be able to get around. And, after a while, that self-doubt starts to slowly kind of shrink away. But it does have a way of always coming back every now and then. Sometimes it comes back super strong. So be aware of that and just be ready to realize what's happening and just, shut down that self-doubt, look forward to what you want to do and just do it. And like I said, if you do something that's even just a tiny bit positive that moves you closer to what you want, that's what's going to really help shut down that self-doubt that you're feeling, because you just realize that you accomplished something. So that's it from me today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. If you're having a day of self-doubt, let it go. Don't let it wreck your day. Don't let it stop you from doing what you want to do. You've got this. You can totally do this. And self-doubt is just a normal thing, but you just have to learn how to deal with it and get past it. So have an awesome day, and I will talk to you again real soon.